Principal Wales, do you know who will be replacing you?
Whoever it is, just remember one thing. It's all about the students. It's not about you two.
It was a self-contained 2 seasons that you guys shot back to back.
Yeah.
So it's been a while since you've been
a
on
while.
set. What did you like about working like that? And how have you sort of gained perspective since you finished?
Well, I think I can speak for Danny because he has expressed it in these terms, and for everybody really, the benefit of doing it the way that they did it, that we did it, was that you're operating in a vacuum, and meaning that it's not filtered through public opinion. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a really authentic kind of linear experience that is without, I suppose after the first season of something like that, an audience's reaction. And therefore you can kind of change your behavior or change your story based on the reaction from the audience. And Danny didn't want to do that, and neither did David or Jody. And it was the first time that I had ever been given an opportunity to do 2 seasons of something without seeing how the audience reacts to it in the middle. And it was such a relief, to be quite honest with you. You know, you didn't feel like the experience kind of changed after the first 9 episodes. It was just one continuous story from A to Z.
How do you bring humanity to a character that's maybe not the most likable character? And or how do you sort of push boundaries as far as vulgarity and shock and without alienating viewers?
Oh God, you know, I mean, I think that Danny and Roughhouse, Jody and David do that better than anyone. For me, anyway, it wasn't the things that kind of came out of Lee Russell's mouth wasn't gratuitous. You know, it wasn't for shock value. It wasn't winking at the audience, you know, watching it. It was really just how vulgar these people were, and how deeply insecure and deeply flawed they are or were, right? In this case, as human beings, and so I think you needed that in order to achieve the sublime, which is some profound kind of insight into the world around them. I think both of them are extreme narcissists, and at the end of it, I think Lee Russell and Neil Gamby changed.
Wow.
Still a work in progress, but you get the idea.
It's fantastic. I mean, the children are saluting you, and there's tigers.
You get what I'm going for.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like a Chinese buffet, but, you know, classier.
I mean, there is also something to be said for playing or for having an unlikable character.
What Danny and those guys created was an opportunity to explore 2 people that are unredeemable, really. They're not anti-heroes. They're not heroes at all. They're horrible human beings. But when you look behind the curtain on somebody like that, and in the midst of all of that, what Danny and Roughhouse does is they tell tragedies or dramas, if you will, that happen to be very, very, very funny, not the other way around. And that was certainly my experience. I have never laughed. I've never gut laughed that hard for that long in my life. And not just at Danny, although he is one of the funniest people I've ever met. Where are you, Danny McBride? I wish you were here. But everybody, Georgia King, Edie Patterson, everybody was just funny. And
That says Lee Russell, principal. That's what this says.
Wow.
Watch this. You ever done this before? Huh? Pretty great. Pretty great.
Yeah. You got really open hips.
A lot of people, reviews, non-reviews, noted that a lot of Vice Principals was about discomfort as much as it was about humor, at least for the viewers at home.
yeah.
How would you respond to that? And then do you find humor in discomfort, or is it more just table setting?
Well, I think that's what they do. I don't think that that's any different from their experience making Kenny Powers, you know. But I think that on a number of levels, that's what true satire is. You know, that it is meant to make you laugh initially, and then make you just watch and to ultimately make you feel extremely uncomfortable while giggling at the same time. I think that's the true definition of satire, and I think that's what they do, and I think they do it better than anybody.
Well, you clearly liked working with Danny.
I love it.
You'd do it again?
In a second. Yeah, in a second. Yeah, anywhere, anytime. Just a monologue. I'd do an episode of Octonauts with Danny McBride.
You got that. That kid.
There you go. We're going to do the voices on Octonauts. Danny McBride and myself.
I would love that. You know, even in the past year, you've been in everything from Vice Principals to Tomb Raider, to now you're doing the LA Confidential show.
Mm-hmm. Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Good, too. It's so good. Yeah.
I'm excited. How do you pick roles?
Instinct, writing, you know, and if it's if I feel it, even if I don't understand it, I can, and I think most people in my position would say the same thing, that you know pretty quickly into a script whether or not you can be of service to the director, and even if you haven't figured out exactly what that looks like, but you know, like, wow, this is somebody that I could play. I don't really know how. You know, but I could, and I really think that I could help this director or this writer tell their story, and that's paramount to me. You know, that's really, really important to me.
Do you try to fill in gaps? Like, is it like, oh, I've done 9 months of serious projects. Let's see if I can do something, an action movie.
I do. Yeah. And I don't know that it's not a Machiavellian kind of premeditated. What's the word I'm looking for? Course that I'm charting. You know, it's really about just about what's in front of me. But I did this last year. I was able to do Tomb Raider and Ant-Man and the Wasp and Maze Runner, some really big kind of budget movies, in some pretty cool places, and I desperately just wanted to do something very small, where the conversations between people were very serious and quiet, and the stakes for the people in a story were very high, and I found that movie. I had that opportunity, and was able to do it, you know, in between these kind of bigger tentpole movies, and it was like, when I say it was like a breath of fresh air, I suppose, if you were doing the inverse and you were just doing independent movies and then you get the opportunity to do Tomb Raider, you know, that would be the same thing. But I will say this, just I know I'm going on, and you'll edit all of this, but after doing The Shield and Justified, I really, other than getting the opportunity to work with Danny, I just so desperately wanted to laugh, you know, at work. Both Shane Mandrell and Boyd Crowder were dark guys, and Lee Russell is just as dark, but at least you know, I got to laugh for hours during the day.
My shooter's still at large. I'm not going to rest until I catch him.
I'm coming for payback.
I want to get my hands dirty.
Let's go find the person who shot you.
Yeah.
I'm coming for payback.